Hello my friends and welcome back. This is going to be the first part of a journey story, and in this journey I'm going to be sharing with you guys my entire experience of getting a breast reduction and lift. A little backstory, okay? Before I had my kids, I was a 34 triple D, okay? And then I had my children and things changed. All right. So I have always been the girl with the big bust. Normally I have, before kids, I had a really small waist, but I still had the big bust. And while it was totally fine, I still just is very top heavy. I have had issues with having large boobs as far as it goes to putting on clothes, trying to get bathing suits. Oh my gosh, you guys, the list goes on. And it's not something that I really had much problems with before I had my kids, but after I had my kids, things changed, okay? So I just have gone through going to the beach and trying to deal with like having a larger bust and all this stuff. So 34 triple D before I had my kids. And then when I had my kids, after that, things changed and I turned into more of a 34G. You guys. And I feel like a lot of times whenever I tell people that I want a reduction, they're like, oh, well, it feels like your body fits you. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. But when you have a 34G and you have, I have all the classic things that people talk about. Like I have the indents in my shoulders from my bra. This is just my normal bra. Like the indents in my shoulders from that. I have to go to the chiropractor often along with my job of being a hairstylist. I have to go to the chiropractor because, oh my gosh, whenever I work at the salon, it's really difficult for me. And then also, you guys, when I wear a bathing suit, I have to wear straps here because if I wear a strap here, my neck will literally have a pinched nerve and my neck goes out. And I have had such a hard time. One summer, it was maybe like the summer that I had Willow, that summer I had my neck go out 3 times, which means I'm literally in like crippled pain like this. It is so bad. It's not even funny. And so I started going to the chiropractor it was every week for a while. Then it switched to every other week and having to pay for that along with having to really change up the way that I was wearing my tops and stuff. So I have been waiting for this for a while. My daughter is going to be 5 this year. And even before then, I really wanted to get a reduction because, growing up, I realized that a lot of my issues with like having a larger bust really came from growing up with girls always sitting there and saying, oh my gosh, your boobs are so big. Why are your boobs so big? How are your boobs so big? And a lot of times it was like my friends with smaller boobs and, unbeknownst to them, but my mindset, it really did a lot of damage to the way that I viewed myself because I always like looked at myself and all I saw was boobs and it's really hard to cover them up. And I always felt like I was just like showing so much. So I've been doing a lot of work on my mental side, but I am definitely ready to get these things off. So a lot of times your like nips sit here, right? And then you have babies and they're like, woo! And they, as my sister-in-law says, are supposed to reach the heavens and then they reach the floor. Now, if you're someone who has this and you're like, oh, I love my boobs even though they look at that, or this is what babies do and like you need to celebrate your body, that's fine and dandy if that's you. But for me, I want smaller ones. I am tired of my back hurting. I'm tired of not being able to find bathing suits because I live at the beach. I'm tired of always having to figure things out as far as clothing goes. I'm just ready to finally have a smaller chest. So there's my children. They're at home. I was like, you know what? I need to sit down and film this. So it is what it is. But I really wanted to have a smaller bust and I've just been dreaming about that forever. So I'm really excited about that. So here is the download of my experience of a consultation and how they went because I had 2 very different experiences and I'm excited to share this with you. So first, before I start, I really want to share with you guys that this is my journey. This is something that I decided to do. It was not something my husband wanted. It's not something that I felt pressured. I have been wanting to get this done even before, like I said, I had kids. And I really ask for a lot of just being mindful of the fact that this is my decision. It is my body. And I get comments all the time from people that say a lot of hurtful things or trying to put their opinion in when it's not asked and things like that. So just know that I'm sharing this journey because I want to share, because I know I have so many large busted women that follow me, and through sharing it on my Instagram, I've already had people that are like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about this. Where are you going? Who are you going to? Blah, blah, blah. So I just really ask, and I know that people are going to say whatever they want, but just to be mindful that this is my choice, this is my body, and things that people say do hurt, and it can be something where a lot of times, I mean, some people just don't even care and they just say whatever, it's hurtful, but this is my choice. This is not, I mean, I asked my husband, I said, babe, you know, is this okay? Because it all started out as, I'm just gonna give you guys a whole story. It all started out as my husband was like, well, what do you want for our 10-year anniversary? And I was like, well, you know, I want to get my boobs done. So that's kind of the joke, is that it was our 10-year anniversary gift, and it's gonna be 11 years this year. So, you know, just a little behind, it's okay. But I want this for me. And I asked my husband, you know, if I had these boobs, would you care? Are you excited about me getting smaller boobs? And he was like, you know what, babe, I'm gonna love you either way. Like, whatever it is that you want, it's up to you. It's not my body. So I'm excited because this is my choice. It's what I want. I don't feel pressured. I feel like this is something I've wanted for so long. So well, some of the things I think is really important for you to start looking for a surgeon is to look for pictures. So one of the things that I did is I really looked around at different surgeons in my area and outside my area. So I'm in Orange County, and I was looking at people in Orange County, in LA, and then in San Diego. And I think one of the hardest things is just finding someone that you want to go to. And I really advise that looking at, this is what I've learned, is I advise that looking at people who do specific and like specializing in what you do. So for me, I was looking for people who did like mommy makeover type stuff and did a lot of breast reductions, a lot of breast augmentations, that type of stuff, because they're used to dealing with the area that I wanted to get work done on. And then specifically, I was looking for people who are doing mommy makeovers because they could deal with the impact that I have with my body and how my body's changed after having babies. And, you know, I also knew that I had a lot of people that were going to be following this journey, and I was like, listen, I need to find someone that I feel really comfortable referring people to. That was huge for me. So I was looking at a lot of people's Instagrams, stalking people, you guys, looking at their websites, looking at their own personal photos, seeing how they conducted themselves, seeing how their patients looked, their testimonials, all of that. So number one, look up people's resources. And number two is going to be, obviously you want someone that's board certified. So that's really important. And for me, money was not a factor. And it's not that money's not a factor for me, but for me, as far as the surgery goes, it's a pretty heavy surgery as far as something that you're getting done. Like, you're completely altering the shape of your body as far as this region goes. So I was not looking at a price point or trying to fit something into a specific budget. I was looking for someone who is going to do it really well, make me feel really comfortable, and have an incredible result from. So if you are looking at certain budgets, that is something that I would put into place as well. So number three, I would look at budget. You know, you can do a consultation, which I'm going to talk about, and you're going to find pricing in with that. And I think that's also important if you're looking at specific range. Now, breast augmentations are a completely different price than breast reductions and breast lifts. So there's different types, which I've learned. A breast augmentation is when you get implants in. A reduction is when you reduce the size. A lift is when you change the position. So typically it's when someone's had, you know, their nipple that's kind of come down and they change the position of the nipple. They normally bring it up. So there's a few different ways that the lingo goes, and it took me forever to learn. I was like, I don't know what this lingo is. So I was looking at getting a reduction, a lift, and I was looking at implants, okay? So I know that there's a large majority of women out there, and it's not everyone, but I know that there's a large majority of women out there that have had issues and complications with their implants. There's breast implant illness, things like that. I have a client of mine, actually have a few friends and clients that have dealt with issues after having implants. So I was really also wanting to find someone that could give me a straight, honest opinion about, should I get implants? Should I not get implants? I'm worried about this. Like, what is your game plan after that? So I feel like having a game plan of what you want is really important. And once you have that game plan in mind, I would start saving pictures. So on my phone, I just started collecting a lot of pictures of kind of what I wanted to look like and what I was hoping for as a goal. And I think another important thing is having realistic expectations, because while I could bring a picture of, like, let's say a random person, like Gigi Hadid. Now, I'm not saying that I want to look like Gigi Hadid, but I'm just saying everyone knows her. So if I brought in a picture of Gigi Hadid, I need to understand that my frame is different than Gigi Hadid's, and I could be completely different than like Kelly Clarkson and all these different people, like Katy Perry. I don't know. I'm just thinking of people that I'm like, oh, nice boobs, nice boobs. So if you're looking at these different people, know your frame might be a little bit different, your boobs might be a little bit different. So I would collect some pictures so that way you're able to really go in with like a portfolio of, okay, is this realistic? Is this something that we could actually do? Because I think that's really important. We go into these people and think that they can turn us into anything, and reality is that we want them to do what's going to look good on us, and then put what's going to look good on us along with what we want and mesh it all together. So I had a photo album of what I was hoping to look like. I did in bathing suits, and then I actually took pictures of the 2 surgeons that I was going to go look at, or the 2 doctors, and I had some of their work in there that I really liked and was showing kind of that stuff. So I went into my consultation. So the first one that I went to was in Beverly Hills, and it was a whole ordeal. So I signed up on their website, and I'm going to have the names of the surgeons, you guys. I'm not going to be sharing it in this video. You're going to have to check out the next video to get it, because I'm uploading this before I get my surgery done. So I am keeping my surgeons private for who I go to until after the fact. Again, I had someone put some opinions on me, and I was like, you know what? Not gonna do that. I did ask for your guys' recommendations, and I was really excited about that, but I have 2 that I went to, and the first one that I went to is in Beverly Hills, and I went up there for the consultation. And before I had the consultation, I already had 3 phone calls, and the phone calls were basically setting up my consultation after I had sent in my info on their website, sent them just a little about what I was wanting, and then I got a phone call about setting everything up, making sure that they had an idea of what I was hoping for, what I was going for, all of that. And then I had another phone call conversation that was just really like, let me get all of the info from you about what you're wanting, how you're feeling, all of that. And honestly, the conversation was so wonderful, because I felt really prepared for what I was going into, which is, if you know me, I'm like information overload. I have been following this surgeon. He's actually the first surgeon that I had ever followed. And so I felt really comfortable because I kind of had an idea of his vibe. And so when I went in, I kind of was able, on this phone call, to be able to really talk and just share. And the girl who I was talking to was super sweet with me. And so that made me feel really comfortable. And then the last one was just like, the last phone call was basically like, okay, we have your consultation. We're going to have you come in. This is how it's going to go. Make sure that you arrive, blah, 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 giving me all the details about like parking and stuff like that. So I got text messages from them about how to park, all that information. Went into the office, and I got a little mixed around because I couldn't find the office very well. I don't know. I'm not very good at directions in LA. Okay. Their office was beautiful, like so gorgeous. It's like right near Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. So what's nice is that you can go, hang out in Beverly Hills and have fun for a day if you want to do that when you're visiting. And I walk in, the receptionist was super, super nice. They actually had 2 receptionists up there, got to sit in their little waiting room for a minute. And now, mind you, the doctor was, I think, almost an hour late. They had apologized to me several times, but I really don't care if someone is running late, because I know that doctors normally run late like it's a thing. And as a hairstylist, I'm like, okay, well, if I run late, like it's normally because of a client or situation or whatever it is. So, he did run an hour late, and I was starting to get a little antsy because we were kind of hungry. So, I think it's also like the nerves, like I was getting excited too. The front people were so nice, having a conversation with me, talking to the girls in there, just like really giving us a lot of warmth when we were there. And then I get taken back by I think they're considered a patient coordinator. And so she brought me back into the room, asked me some of the questions, got all my information down. And then the doctor came into the room, and we did our consultation. Now, Shane was in there with me. He's been in this whole journey with me, which is so great. And we start to have a conversation, and I think we were in there for about 45 minutes and really talked through a lot of things. So one of the things I also suggest for you to do is, in your notes on your phone, have a little list of, breast appointment questions. So I had a list on my phone of questions that I wanted to ask the doctor. So some of the things that I asked is, what technique would you be doing? Because there are different techniques of the incisions that there are. I asked about, concerned about them being even, because this girl's way bigger than this girl. And we had started to talk about implants, like are implants for me. Like I definitely want to go from a G to a C. That's something I really explained. I was like, I want these things off of me and I feel really comfortable. I want to be in the smaller chest range. I love wearing crop tops. I want to be able to wear things lower. I want to be able to wear open back, and I want to be able to work out easier. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait until I can work out easier, you guys. So I'm not like jumping in these things or like bouncing off of me or having to strap them down and then I'm suffocating like a girdle. So we had talked about all of those things. I asked them about, you know, okay, if I had any breast implant illness, what would happen if I got them taken out? These are really important things to ask. I asked about pre and post appointments, if they're included in the price that I was going to get. Scarring and healing issues. One of my friends on YouTube, actually, she did get a implant, and the implant didn't hold. Like, they, like, dropped a little bit. And so I asked about that. I asked about, like, blood clots and what do you wear, and do I stay overnight or do I go home? Am I going to have drains from my, you know, incisions? How long is recovery? And then, can my husband come to recovery? Like, what does that whole thing entail? And what bras do I wear afterwards? So I had my whole little list. I'm going to put them down in the description box below. I'll just go ahead and do that so you guys can get an idea of what it is. But we went over a lot of that. And basically what was explained to me from him was there are two different types of incisions. There is the incision that is the anchor scar. So it's going to go around your areola. It's going to go down, and then it's going to go around. So let me just show you guys. So we go around your areola, down your breast, and then right underneath your breast. So that's the anchor scar. And then there is the lollipops scar, and that's going to go around your areola and down. So you don't have the anchor part. So there are different types of techniques when it comes to doing the scar, like the actual incision and the scarring, healing, and all of that. So what he explained to me is, he was like, okay, you have a lot of breast tissue. So what we can do is, we can, because you're concerned about an implant and all of that. And he was like, it's just not something that he would do as far as doing a reduction, a lift, and an implant. He said, if you do a reduction and a lift, some people out there do it, but he said there's a higher risk of infection and your body rejecting the implant, which is like what I can remember of what he said, because obviously it was a long conversation. But he was like, you know, there's a possible of a rejection of it, and it's just a little bit more dangerous. And as soon as he used the word dangerous, I was like, nope, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing anything that's considered dangerous or can be dangerous. So as far as that went, I was like, okay, let's just do what he suggested. And what he suggested was, we're going to do a reduction. We're going to do a lift. And then he was like, what we can do is lipo out your side right here, which is normally what they do. And then we can use that fat and inject that fat back up into the top. Because one of my concerns was, I don't have like any volume in this area, because my boobs have definitely sagged. Like, I don't have any volume here at all. Mama wants some volume there, which is why I was looking at the implants, because they really fill in that volume right there. So we had talked about that, and he said, you know, we'll take this fat, we'll inject it into here. And he was like, you know, the way that I do the incision, he does a lollipops incision. So he's going to make a reduction this way. And he was like, you know, the difference of that versus the anchor pattern is that it is going to give you more of a natural shape, not so boxy, more of a natural shape. You're not going to have the scar all the way underneath. And then we can inject some fat up here. And he was like, he told me, he said, you know, I'm really good at what I do. So I was like, okay, I trust that you feel that way, because I've looked at his work, which is why I was choosing to go there and see him. And through the whole experience, honestly, you guys, it was just really incredible. I got brought out of that room, and you know, here's something I have to say. I was having to stand looking at a mirror, and I'm looking with, you know, 3 people in the room with me, the doctor, the care coordinator, and my husband, and I'm looking as I'm like, my robe is open, and I'm starting to get emotional, because I'm sitting here staring at myself completely exposed about something that really bothers me. And I was starting to get choked up. And what really I'm very observant, and what was really impressive to me is that he didn't say anything. He saw what I was starting to go through, and I'm telling you, if I would have started crying, I wouldn't have been stopping, because I probably would have been like, because it's such an emotional impact that this has made on me, and I'm so emotionally invested in this, and I just want this to change. So as soon as he started to see me get a little choked up, he closed my robe and had me take a seat, and that was really impressive for me. So I went in the room with my patient care coordinator. I hope I'm saying the right thing. I don't know if I am. And they gave me a full list of what the surgery would cost, anesthesia breakdown, the cost of the reduction, the lift, liposuction, all that stuff. So that was my experience. I said goodbye, and I let them know that I was going to another surgeon to go check out and see what that was going to be, and I wasn't going to make my decision until then, and they were super gracious about it. And so that was my experience with that. So then the next day I had another appointment, and I went into a doctor here in Newport Beach. So I go in for this consultation, you know, expecting a lot because I just had a really great experience. And so I go into this appointment, and it was here in Newport Beach with a doctor that has a very large Instagram following and was recommended by several people. So, and I had seen his work, and I was like, well, it looks really nice. And he does do some videos and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let's give this a try. So that was a referral. The other one was my decision. This one was a referral decision. And then also there was a lot, I mean, he has a huge following and has a lot of work on there. So I was looking at that, and I went in for a consultation with that. Now, mind you, also, there is a consultation fee. It can be anywhere from like $50 to $300. You need to remember that as well. My Beverly Hills doctor was very expensive. The Newport doctor was a little bit less. So I go into this place, and I had to fill out all my COVID stuff before I entered, and then I was brought in. I did not have like many phone calls. It was more so just like, oh, here, you're coming to your consultation, blah, blah, blah. And so that was it for me. So there was not a lot of back and forth in the beginning of that, which I was like, oh, I really liked the other people because I really got to know them a little bit. And then I went into this. We went in, and I had to fill out paperwork that was just all handwritten paperwork. It was a lot, you guys. I got to do the other office online, which was so nice. It took me a few minutes to do it, but this one I had to do like all like handwritten paperwork stuff. So I sat there and filled out all that information, and then I waited, and they were also late for me. They were running late. They had called me before I even got into the place, and they were like, hey, you know, the doctor's running late. Could you come in a little bit later? And so we did. And then when we got there, sat in the waiting room for a little bit, and then got brought into the actual like patient consult room. And this office was insane gorgeous. Like I went in there and I was like, whoa, like it was so beautiful. And the room was beautiful, very crisp and white and just very glamorous. And so I sat down there, and we sat there for a while again. So I feel like the wait time was pretty much the same for both places. And it was like, I was sitting there and I was like, are they coming? Hello? But I then had the doctor come in, and it was an interesting experience because I had an immediate kind of like, oh yeah, no, this isn't my person. Because when he had come in, it was very much. All right, unfortunately, you guys, my camera decided to turn itself off and will not turn itself back on. So we were over at this, using my phone. Oh, anyways, okay, so where I was at was the doctor was just it was a very cocky and not comfortable type of an appointment. And it was interesting because he was like seated back, like with his clipboard and asking questions. And honest to God, you guys, I was in that consultation for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Couldn't have been more than 15 minutes. And long story short, because I could tell you the whole story, long story short, I felt like a number. I felt like I was just more money in his pocket. And he didn't even ask to see pictures, okay? Didn't ask to see pictures of what I wanted. Just kind of told me what he was going to do. And it felt like instead of me getting what I wanted, it was more so like what he wanted to see on me. And I had to bring up the fact that I wanted to have fat injected into the top and stuff like that. And after we had about a 10 to I'm not even kidding you, it couldn't have been 15 minutes, a 10-minute conversation. Then he said, hey, I'd love to show you our surgery center. And I was like, okay. So he gives me a tour of the surgery center, and it was beautiful. I mean, I'm telling you, this building was absolutely insane, you guys. It was so astounding. And after that, I was done. That was it. He was like, all right, my patient coordinator is going to come in here and talk to you, and we'll get the information set up for you and all of that. And I was just kind of shocked. I was like, wow, that's it? Like, that's it? I'm not even going to go into detail with everything that was in there, but one of my main questions going into these consultations was, how am I going to know who my person is? And I very quickly, from the moment that this guy walked in, I was like, I know who my person is. So, you know, I went through the motions and all of that, but I left that feeling very frustrated. I was like, man, I just spent like, I think it was like $150 on a consultation that was late for, that I didn't feel like I was given enough time, that he was rushing for someone else. And it was just not what I wanted. And then I had gone in with the lady that was giving me, you know, the price breakdown and all of that. And it was like, when I was asking for an appointment, she was just like, and like turns to her computer, and I had already verified with the staff on both both surgeons, that if it was a realistic time frame for me to be able to get the specific day that I needed, because I had to pre-plan this out because of being a hairstylist. And for those of you guys, I guess I should have said, like, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be watching this that don't know me, I'm a hairstylist. I run a very, you know, incredible clientele, and I have to be able to plan this because I can't just cancel everyone. So, she proceeds to tell me like, oh, no. And I was like, okay, like, what's the deal with this? Sorry, I'm having to adjust my hand because I don't even have a tripod for my phone that sits this way. So weird. But she proceeds to be like, oh no, he's very in demand. He doesn't have time like that soon. And I was like, okay. And I told her like, oh, your person at the front told me. She was like, I don't know why they told you that, because this one surgery has been booked here on this day forever. And it was just it was a very interesting experience. And I walked out of there and I looked at Shane and I was like, so we know who my person is, right? And he was like, yeah. So, that was my experience as far as that goes. And it was very clear to me who was going to be my surgeon, who I felt comfortable with, which I kind of already knew when I left the first place that he was going to be my surgeon, just because of the way that I felt and the way that they made me feel. And I called her that day on my way home, and she didn't pick up the phone for the first doctor in Beverly Hills. And then I got to call her later on that day, and I was like, I am booking an appointment and I need to reserve that date. And I was so excited. And so she called me, and it was just like, she told me, she was like, oh, we were talking about you and your husband, and we loved you, and we really hoped that you would pick us. And, you know, the doctor loved you and is so excited for you. So it was just very warm and very sweet and very thorough. So needless to say, I have my doctor. I'm going to a doctor in Beverly Hills, and I am so excited. I went in for my pre-op appointment, got all of my information. I have a whole list of supplements and different things that I'm going to be taking to help with my healing. I have my prescriptions that I actually need to go pick up, and I picked a date. So I'm going in on the 31st of March, which is next Wednesday. So for me, filming this right now is in a week from now, and you guys have no idea how excited I am. I've actually started to get nervous. Now, I'm not nervous about the actual surgery because I trust him. I think I'm nervous about being under, because I'm going to be under for 4 hours around that time. And then I'm going to have recovery I have like a whole list of instructions. So you get sent home with like a pamphlet of instructions. So you know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it. I mean, everything is completely mapped out for you, which is awesome for someone like me who wants to go completely by the books. So that is going to be my next part in this series, where I'm going to share with you guys. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys along the way of like how everything goes, how I'm feeling, recovery, tips, stuff like that, anything that I learned. And then I'm going to be showing you guys my journey of like how everything heals and how all of that is, and my feelings after and all of that stuff. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys stay tuned. If you're not following me on Instagram, I suggest you to hop over there and follow me in real time so you guys can see kind of what's happening and how all of that goes. And yeah, I'm excited. If you guys have questions, I'd love for you to put them in the comments. Maybe I could do like a Q&A or something like that as I progress and as I go through this journey. But man, I am so beyond excited. I'm so grateful I'm able to do this. And I just am I cannot wait to see what it's like to run without having really heavy boobs. And, you know, I feel like in my area, I guess they call this the breast coast, because in my area, everyone is trying to get bigger boobs. And then here I am over here, like, please make them smaller. Like, I want to surf. I want to play with my kids. I want to do like easy stuff and not feel these like big cumbersome boobies on my body. So if you're a part of the Big Titty Committee and you love it, I love that for you. I want to be a part of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee. Like, I am changing. I'm revoking my membership and I'm switching because that's what I want. So, I guess I'll just be checking in with you guys on the next video. And thank you guys so much for watching if you guys made it through this whole thing. And I will see you on Instagram, my friends. Goodbye.